everybody, Seth coming to you from the middle of nowhere, and today we're going to be going over the parts for my new PC build that I'll be doing. This will be the first build I've done in 5 years, and it will be a personal build to help me edit videos and of course play video games on. So I thought, hey, why not do a video where I go over my components bit by bit and let you see my thought process on why I chose things and maybe give you ideas for your future builds. If you have any questions or comments about why I chose things or what you would have done a little bit differently, feel free to let me know in the comments below. So let's start left to right, front to back, and we'll be starting with our cooling solutions, or at least the fans anyway, as well as the lighting. And I went with a Corsair ecosystem for a couple reasons. I've really liked what Corsair's done with their fans, and my wife actually got me these 6 fans as a gift a while ago, so I finally am getting to use them. I bought the extra set of 3 so that I can have 9 fans total, 6 exhaust and 6 intake, 3 exhaust, so I can have a nice positive airflow. I'll be going with the Lighting Node Pro for some extra ambient light, and then hooking the fans together, we'll be using the Commander Pro right there. Now, how I intend to do this is, because the Commander Pro only accepts 6 fans, what I'll be doing is using some Chromax splitters, which I got here from Noctua. So these have 3 splitters, and then I also got some extensions just in case, and 4 extensions come in with them. So how I plan on hooking everything up. I'll have 9 fans, 2 split out, so you'll still get 6 connections to the Pro. Then I will use 2 hubs to connect to the LED channels on the Pro, and then the lighting node itself will be connected separately to a USB 2 port on the Commander. So the lighting node will not directly, as far as the LED channels go directly to the Commander, and this eliminates having to have 2 Commanders. In theory, everything should show up A-OK in iQUE, and of course we'll have to make sure that happens and test it all out. This will be my first hardline water cooling build. I have the Fluid Gaming line on my current, the A240 on my current rig. It's great. First escapade in custom water cooling, soft tubing. I love it. But this time we're going copper, and so I went with Primo Chill's Eximo 360mm radiator. It is painted silver. The reason I went with this as opposed to a third EK radiator, if you watch my video on the PCO11 Dynamic, the side radiator spot has a very narrow clearance, and also you can't have too thick of a radiator. So this dimensions of the Eximo fit the bill in terms of width and depth, so that's what we went with. And I just kind of liked all the custom colors, and so hey, I figure instead of going standard white or black, I'd try a silver color, mostly also kind of just to go with the accent on the Dynamic. Odds are you're not even going to see it anyway, so any color would have been fine. For my other 2 radiators, which will be one on top and one on bottom, I went with EK's Coolstream PE 360 triple rads. So these are about roughly 35 to 38 millimeters thick. So they're fine. They're a little bit thicker than your normal rad. Obviously, definitely thicker than this. For my water block, I'm going with EK's ASUS C6H monoblock, which is compatible with the motherboard, the Crosshair 7, which is what I have. Even though it's for the Crosshair 6, they have the same layout, so EK has already stated that they're fully compatible. For my fittings, which are all in Becky's, and there's a lot of them, I'm going with 16mm tubing, although I am debating whether or not to go 12, so again, probably going to build a little bit and see what I decide on. But anyway, we're going with black chrome for the color. I just really fell in love with the color. I like how it's still shiny like regular chrome, just not as bling in your face. And I don't know, that darker look is just, it's really cool. And you can kind of see here are some black sparkle, or no, these are black chrome actually, sorry, these are Mayhem's caps, plugs. But these are black chrome, and then here you can see just by contrast a regular chrome. So just a darker color overall. And then for our coolant, we're going with EK Cryo Fuel in clear. So this is concentrate, so I'll mix this with distilled water. I believe this is 100 milliliters, so we'll go, basically it's 9:1 ratio. Yep, it's 100 mil. So I'll do 900 milliliters of distilled water, mix it all together, and then use that. This already contains like biocide agents and whatnot, so I won't have to add anything extra like a kill coil or anything like that. Motherboard, ASUS Crosshair VII Hero Wi-Fi edition. This way, if I'm troubleshooting it or I need to move it, I can just connect to the Wi-Fi and not have to worry about being hardline plugged in. I really like the feature set within this motherboard, and if you stay to the end of the video, I'm actually going to cover the motherboard and do a little overview on it. Moving on from there, we have the AMD Ryzen 2700X, so that will be 8-core, 16-thread processor. Cannot wait. I currently have a 4770K, so I'll be doubling my cores, doubling my threads, and just, having a little bit overall speed boost as well. So I'm very excited for that. For our storage, we are doing 2 Western Digital WD Black NVMe SSDs. I have a 500 gig for my operating system and some common programs, as well as a 1 terabyte for my games and other programs that I'm going to use. I even went ahead and got EK's nickel-plated NVMe heatsink for this one. Oh no, excuse me, for this one. So here's the weird thing. So this motherboard actually has a heatsink on one of the NVMe slots. However, you would actually use the one that doesn't have a heatsink on it for your OS drive, because that grabs PCI lanes, I want to say, from the chipset. And the other one actually grabs lanes from where the graphics cards pull, which I believe is directly from the CPU. So it's a little weird. DeBauer has an entire video on it and like a nice chart breakdown. Now, by using 2 NVMe drives, and I don't think I have a choice of converting the one for storage into SATA based storage, it will end up pulling from the graphics card lanes, thus reducing the graphics card from 16 to 8. But after watching a video from Gamers Nexus where Steve explained everything, it's essentially a 1% loss in frames, which is not that much, so I'm not worried about it. Maybe in the future, it'll, those lanes will all get saturated by the graphics card and it'll be more worrisome. But right now, I don't think it will matter. Feel free to contradict these statements in the comments below or educate me. I mean, this is just what I've learned through my own research, and so I'm perfectly happy with going from 16 to 8 speed on the PCI lanes. For the graphics card in order to have the fast storage. This is 64 gigs of RAM, 4 sticks total. It is 3200 RAM and is cache latency 14. So I know because it's 4 sticks at 64 gigs total that I might not be able to get the full 3200, but I'm going to try and tweak and overclock the RAM to at least, at a minimum, get the 3200 megahertz speed. Before we come to the front, we have the back, which is our home for all these parts, and this is Lian-Li's PC011 Dynamic in Alpine White. Powering everything will be Seasonic's Prime Titanium 1000 watt power supply. I have currently a Seasonic power supply. It's an 860 watt. I love it. They've got good customer service. They have a great warranty. This thing has 12 years on it, so I highly recommend them. The price, I actually got it on sale. It isn't cheap. I want to say this was like around $255 when I got it. So it's not cheap. It is also probably a lot more power than I need, but you never know as I build out the system with maybe capture cards and other things. And then to help me with the liquid cooling, I've got some Thermaltake V-Tubular 16mm outer diameter, 12mm inner diameter tubing, as well as their Pacific hard tube bending kit for that. As I previously stated, I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to go 12mm versus 16, and I actually did prepare for this. I ended up buying some 12mm fittings. Believe it or not, the fittings just for the tube to fit the tubes is a lot less expensive than all the adapters and angles fittings, which are again all in this bag here. So it wasn't too hard of a decision to kind of tinker and go, well, let's just try both. So I ended up getting some EK 12mm tubing as well as a silicone insert. My hope is that I can use the mandrels to bend the 12mm and not have to get another mandrel set. This is it. What you're not seeing, unfortunately, is a graphics card, and that's because, well, prices are still too high for me. 1, 2, the 1180 or 2080 or whatever you want to call it, the next generation of NVIDIA cards have not been released or announced yet, so I'm kind of biding my time because dates keep being mentioned, end of July, early August, whatever. And then so those two things. So unless prices come down on the 1080s, 1080 Ti, I'm probably going to stick with what I currently have, which is a 970 Hall of Fame edition from Galax. But now let's get into the unboxing of the ASUS Crosshair VII Hero Wi-Fi Edition motherboard from ASUS. So as soon as you open the board, or the box, excuse me, we get a nice little welcoming. Republic of Gamers, welcome to the Republic. The motherboard itself is not in a static bag or anything like that. It's instead just got a plastic shroud over it. So just pull the motherboard out. Gently, of course. Bits on the back. Or maybe not gently, just turn. Well, I don't know what it's stuck on. Oh, dirt, the I/O. There we go. I just need to be smarter than the board. So, a little protective plastic there, that's about it. Get a load of stickers to fancy up your case, including some cable labels, so you basically just can identify what's what. Get a nice card for Republic of Gamers. Thank you for purchasing this ROG product. You've made the choice of champions. To learn more about our passion for gaming and to receive news about the latest ROG innovations and offers, check out ASUS Grid, a vibrant new one-stop information hub on the Microsoft Store. I really like their design that they're going with these days. I like that. A coaster. Join the Republic. Scan that. Really? Drivers on a CD? And a cable mod coupon code. I'm not letting you guys see that because I'm going to use it. Why not just a USB drive? I mean, they're dirt cheap nowadays anyway. You can get like a 16 gig drive for $5, $6. Big old manual, which I will read. Seriously, I will read it. Guarantee it. Some more hidden stuff that I won't be able to get into because I'm a noob when it comes to this crap. Alright, the left side has some cables. It looks like we have this is 4-pin RGB cable, SATA cable with a right angle connector, and a normal SATA connector cable, black, also flat, so that's cool. And another SATA cable. Yep. So it looks like we get 4 of those. On the other side, got more goodies. I'm not going to take these out of the bag right now. That's not really the focus, is cables, but just want to show you everything at least. Let's see here. Some tiny screws. Ooh, I love this. This makes connecting the front panel so much easier. So basically you put all the little front panel individual things into this, or in this, excuse me, and then you plug this directly into the motherboard and it makes it a lot easier. They're all marked and then you don't have to worry about it. The bandwidth, high bandwidth SLI bridge, it's not fancy or anything, but I know it is high bandwidth. Some more screws. More cables. This is addressable RGB. Never ever conflate the two. Addressable is 5 volt and it's only 3-pin, although there is 4 spots. You can accidentally plug an addressable cord into a regular standard RGB and you'll end up blowing that. So just keep that in mind. Then we have the Wi-Fi antenna, and that is it. So starting with the back of the motherboard, you'll note that the I/O shield is already integrated, so this is a real nice convenience. You don't have to worry about forgetting it. Then let's just going down the list. We have our BIOS button. So if you plug in a USB here, you can actually update the BIOS and from USB, so that's always nice. We have a clear CMOS button, so again, you don't have to go inside the case to clear your CMOS. We've got our Wi-Fi antenna, PS2 port, which don't know why that's included anymore, to be honest, but whatever. 4 USB 3.0 Gen 1 ports. or not 4, why did I say 4? 8, 2 rows of 4. This is actually a huge attraction to me of the motherboard, was the plethora of USB ports. Ethernet, 2 USB Gen 2 ports, 1 Type-C, 1 Type-A, and then our audio connectors. The board itself internally has a whole bunch of fan connectors. Up top we have actually 3 of them. So in order, left to right, we've got our CPU optional, CPU, and then our AIO pump. Here we have a Q code reader, so you'll be able to troubleshoot your computer if you have any issues. Right here we have 2 RGB headers. The top one is your standard 4-pin header with 12-volt connector, and the bottom one is 3-pin 5-volt connector. Again, really make sure you don't confuse the two. You can end up blowing your addressable RGB product if you accidentally plug that into a 12-volt connector. Going down the line, we have a nice standard USB Gen 2 connector for your motherboard for front panel connection. Another fan connector right here, so we're up to 4. Further down, we have another one, so we're up to 5. So specifically, this says that's chassis fan 2. This says H amp, but again, it's still for fans. I'm not actually certain what H amp even stands for, unfortunately, and also the manual didn't really clarify that, so it's some more research I'm going to have to do. So this is for an external fan. Cannot recall what that's for. Some of this stuff, so this is flow in and out. This might be for the pump. Don't quote me on that. It actually might be more to do with LN2 stuff. Here we have our water pump, dedicated water pump header. So if you have a PWM pump, you can connect that here, and it actually is nice and convenient in the lower right hand side, because odds are, at least for me, since on the case, the build, the lower right hand side of the motherboard, and the pump will be right next to it, so it's a nice short distance. Here we have our second set of RGB headers. Again, standard 4-pin, then our addressable 3-pin. This is for, I believe, ASUS's external Rogue device that gives you all the information on temperature settings and all that other stuff. This is the, let's see here, other USB 3.0 plug, I believe. Here's 2.0. Another fan header. Let's see here, I believe that's for the audio. A lot of this I'm going off memory, so forgive me for that. And then up here we have another fan header. Okay, so PCI slots. The two for the graphics cards are both reinforced, so that will hopefully do 2 things: prevent 1, GPU sag, but 2, prevent any strain on your PCIe slots. Then we have 3 more slots. These 3 actually are connected to the chipset. These are to the CPU, so your 16 slots there. And then, so if you have 2 GPUs, you're going to run them in 8x8 speeds. And then we have 1 M.2 slot and 2 second one. So this is 2_1 or 2-1. This is 2-2. You would think, okay, so you think the one with the fancy heat sink is going to be the one that you would want to put your OS drive into, but I would actually recommend putting it into here. The way the PCI lanes are sorted is there's 16 and then 4 out there, okay, right? So 4 of those are dedicated to this M.2 slot here. The other slot, M.2 slot, would share it with the PCI lanes that go to the graphics card. So if you populate this and run it in PCI mode, I do not know if this can actually go PCI or SATA. I think it might be PCI only. Then your graphics card will be in 8x8 mode. If you have SLI setup and a hard drive, you're going to be running it in 4x4 for your 2 graphics cards, and then 4 obviously for the drive. So just keep that in mind on your drive options. Again, I'm running 2. I'm only running 1 graphics card, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Going from 16 to 8, again, according to Gamers Nexus, very negligible hit on performance, so I'm okay with that. And again, if I can set it up in the BIOS to run this on SATA lanes, then I'm okay with that too. And we have a visitor. That's it, guys. That's my build coming up. Expect several more videos on this in length, and I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. I'm going to take lots of pictures as well, and post that on my Facebook page. So follow me on social media. You know, like and subscribe. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time in the middle of nowhere.